Has been farming on the Delta since the 1890s. I co-founded and am executive director of a nonprofit called First Generation Farmers. We're a nonprofit community farming project located in Discovery Bay, right next to the Delta. And we have 50 acres located on a 1,500 acre plot with riparian rights. We provide opportunities for people in our community to learn the basics of farming while conserving natural resources, providing ag education and access to the open space. Many of our members are young farmers, or young adults that want to become farmers between the ages of 20 and 40. And if the BDCP moves forward, these young agripreneurs will not have access to the adequate water quality that we have right now. And it'll make it very difficult for them to get into this business and be successful and contribute to our Bay Area food shed. You can't farm on the selenium and salinity levels that are going to happen if this passes. So thank you for listening to us.
I'm Jane Wagner-Tyke with Restore the Delta. Thank you so much for letting us speak today. And I'm especially happy for the opportunity to clarify, Restore the Delta does not support the portfolio plan. What Restore the Delta supports is the Environmental Water Caucus Reasonable Exports Plan. And important features of that for you to be aware of are it supports through Delta conveyance, which is something that BDCP has not paid sufficient attention to. There is an alternative there, but they really haven't looked at it seriously. We're in favor of reinforcing Delta levees. I'll talk about that in a minute. A maximum of 3 million acre-feet of water exported from the Delta. I'm sorry, that's what the system can release. And we think that can be done, and the Environmental Water Caucus Plan explains how that could happen. And one of the ways it could happen is by retiring drainage-impaired lands on the western side of the San Joaquin Valley. The draft BDCP material being released today will still be fatally flawed because it will ignore the fact that in California more water has been promised than can be reliably delivered. Over time, that's what we're seeing. Secretary Laird just said to you that this is the largest habitat conservation plan ever undertaken. They're telling you that this is a plan to protect endangered fish and restore habitat in the Delta, but of course you must know that fisheries agencies that must permit it are not convinced that 2 giant tunnels capable of diverting most of the water from the Sacramento River will be operated in a way that benefits fish. It isn't happening now with diversions. Why would it happen in the future? And I want to be clear about the fact that the largest agricultural beneficiaries of this project are giant corporations growing in permanent crops like almonds and pistachios, primarily for export. We're not talking about food security here. We're talking about crops grown for export. They're doing it on drainage-impaired lands with poor soils, using water that was never guaranteed to be available every year. Our analysis of delivery data for the first decade of this century shows that just 2 San Joaquin Valley agricultural exporters, Westlands Water District and Kern County, took more Delta water than Santa Clara Valley urban users and Southern California's Metropolitan Water District combined. That's unsustainable farming. It represents less than 0.5% of California's economy, and that's what we're all going to be asked to help pay for. Tunnel proponents say that this project reduces risk from interruptions in water deliveries due to earthquakes. They exaggerate the fragility of Delta levees. Tremendous improvements have been made in Delta levees in the last 30 or 40 years. Their frequency's gone way down. It can be done for a fraction of the cost, $2 to $4 billion to reinforce Delta levees. Again, BDCP is not looking at that. It has to happen anyway to protect people in the Delta and to protect statewide infrastructure. Overall, this project can't fulfill the promise of ensuring reliable water supplies. It diverts precious public resources that could go for other goals, and it just needs to be stopped. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, Max Perret. I'm a representative of Food and Water Watch, a national consumer advocacy organization with 3,000 members who are your ratepayers. And we've been alerting our members to this important issue, and over 250 responded just a week ago by saying that they opposed the project and were willing to sign a petition and take further action against the Twin Tunnels project. So I just wanted to thank you all for considering the public's input today, and I wanted to share a few comments. Today, a number of local organizations have gathered in Santa Clara to voice our collective opposition to the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, or Twin Tunnels project. This project is unnecessary and is estimated to cost anywhere from $25 to $54 billion when you take in the full range of costs associated with the project. This would be an outrageous water grab that the people of Santa Clara understand will not provide any additional water for them. As the San Jose Mercury News noted just last week, the Twin Tunnels project could be one of the biggest water grabs in the state's history. Let me be clear, Food and Water Watch does support responsible levels of exports from the Delta, but if we are being honest with ourselves, the Bay Delta already suffers from excessive water exports, and today 60% of the water exported from the Delta does not go to Santa Clara, does not go to San Jose, does not go to LA. It goes to big agricultural interests outside of urban areas. This project would not increase the water supply for the ratepayers of Santa Clara Valley Water District. Yet today we are facing the reality that we would be the ones footing the bill. Santa Clara Valley Water District receives only a mere 4.2% of the total water exported from the Delta, but this comprises a full half of the supply for its ratepayers. With the economy still suffering from the Great Recession, people simply cannot afford the added expense of funding an unnecessary project through rate hikes at this time. It is unfortunate today that we have witnessed yet again that those in support of the Tunnels project have used fear of water shortages to disguise the fact that this will provide a service to big ag and big oil at taxpayer and Santa Clara Valley ratepayer expense. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us and for hearing our comments.
Okay, next, all the public comments, requests I have. Michelle.